Welcome to episode number 161 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on October 14, 2016. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today. The mobile explosion, Ambassador Wonder Woman, Kardashian's heist costume, Ronald McDonald too scary, free Alexa, Amazon streams and reads, bugs, election night Buzzfeed, Nobel Prize winning lyricist Ken Boone, the conquering hero, and Tic Tac Trump. We always started off with the worst story of the week, worst stories of the week, and BL always has the honor to kick us off with the worst story. What was it, BL?
Well, I am outraged because the United Nations, they rejected 7 female candidates vying for leadership of the organization. And instead, they made Wonder Woman, you know, the cartoon character, she's not a human. They made her honorary ambassador to promote empowerment of women and girls. So this really belongs in the you can't make this shit up department. But they're picking this cartoon character, and she will be named in a ceremony with surprise guests on October 21st. And Wonder Woman's avatar, according to Meyer Nasser, who's the outreach director of the UN Department of Public Affairs, is going to be used on social media platforms to promote important messages about women's empowerment, including gender-based violence and the fuller participation of women in public life. This is a bit awkward because they're kind of behind in their appointments of women in senior positions. As a matter of fact, 9 out of 10 senior leadership jobs last year at the UN went to men. But, you know, we shouldn't be surprised because Wonder Woman's not the only fictional character they've celebrated. Winnie the Pooh was honorary ambassador of friendship in 1998.
And of course,
Tinkerbell was honorary ambassador of green in 2009, and Angry Birds dared fans on Twitter last year to make their characters happy by conserving water and energy. So Mary O'Reilly tweeted, the UN didn't appoint a female secretary general. Instead, it appointed Wonder Woman as ambassador. Speechless, but I'm not.
Well, so I don't get the green thing. Ambassador green. It doesn't make any sense. Winnie the Pooh, of course, everybody loves Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, they got a gender problem in terms of actual leadership. But I do note that Wonder Woman is a feminist icon.
Yeah, of course she is, but there's
no
live humans leading the United Nations. What the hell is wrong with that?
Absolutely agreed.
That is the United States, no female leadership. So,
So if I were a Galaxy Note 7 owner, I would be outraged.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about Google Pixel rolling out. In contrast, there was a big controversy underway regarding Samsung's premier smartphone, the Galaxy Note 7, which has been exploding. And so this past week, Samsung announced that they'll discontinue production of it. It was supposed to be the crown jewel of their smartphone lineup. It was the primary rival to Apple, but they're exploding in purses and catching on fire in flights to the point where airlines are telling passengers to turn off their Galaxy Note phones. It kind of feels like they rushed release of the phone to beat the iPhone 7 release. There's a recent survey from brand analysis firm Branding Brand, which is a kind of
nice
redundant name. That 34% of current Samsung customers said they wouldn't buy another smartphone from the company. And this was a poll that was taken before news surfaced that the replacement phones were also catching on fire. So this is from a Washington Post article by Haley Tsukiyama. You know, Google Pixel's timing couldn't be better, really, because there's a wide opening for them to grab some market share with a new entry in their first entry.
Did you order yours yet? I'm sure you did.
I have not. No.
Oh,
I think I might be taking your advice.
Okay, so
what's up? You're up.
Okay. All right. Well, along with news to take our mind off the election, some company came up with the idea that a Kim Kardashian robbery victim Halloween costume would be a great idea. And it doesn't exactly identify her by name, but it includes a white robe, a black wig, oversized sunglasses, a gag, and rope. It also has a fake ring imitating the 20-carat, what was it, $40 million engagement ring that armed robbers allegedly stole from her after they tied her up in her bathroom in her $100,000 a night hotel in Paris. So here's how the site described the costume. She has devoted her life to promoting American decadence, youth, and hedonism, but all that flashy living caught up with her one night in Paris when armed men bound her, stole her jewelry, and her peace of mind. This Halloween, have some fun with pop culture and dress just like the queen of social media with our sensational Parisian heist robbery victim costume. Okay, so before the actual contrition and apology, the company's called Costumish, and the vice president, Jonathan Weeks, said, he told BuzzFeed he really did not see any harm in it. So here's his great example of how you should not apologize. I'm sad that people are offended by it, but it is Halloween. It's one day out of the year. Halloween should be lighthearted, spirited, party people, and people should be able to laugh and think it's funny. We haven't sold any yet, if that matters. And then he added, if people find it tasteless or if they're offended by it, well, it's Halloween. Maybe you should just shut your life out and not go outside. Here's the apology of the year. So, and then he had to say, due to the extensive outlash, we have decided to remove the Parisian heist costume from our website. We are sorry if it offended anyone.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not a surprise that they haven't sold any, because it seems to me it's an entirely impractical Halloween costume. If you're bound and gagged, you're going to have trouble getting around to the Halloween party.
Get your candy.
Treating, and then you can't eat your candy, right? So,
right. What fun is that if you can't eat the candy on Halloween?
So here's a case of life imitating art. The Atlantic, Matthew Hudson's article on the Atlantic talks about the privacy implications of technology. It's a very good read. One of the sections on it is invisible cameras. And so he talks about a company called AeroVironment that has produced a drone that looks and flies like a hummingbird. So BL, that hummingbird I told you about, that flies around my deck with all my plants out there. I'm starting to wonder whether that's an actual hummingbird. He talks about engineers at Carnegie Mellon and NASA and elsewhere that have designed snake bots that can maneuver around in tight spaces and could be adapted for surveillance. He talks about robotic bugs that are in development, and engineers at UC Berkeley and in Singapore are developing cyborg beetles, real insects that can be remotely controlled through implanted electrodes and might someday pack cameras, which reminded me immediately of a scene from The Fifth Element, in which there's a cyborg beetle or cyborg cockroach with a camera mounted on it as some guys behind the camera controlling it. And we'll put a clip to that in the show notes if you haven't seen The Fifth Element, which everybody should watch.
I have not.
Oh my God, it's a classic science fiction movie. So eventually, he argues, someone might be able to point a phone at you or just look through your smart lens and your contact lens and see a bubble above everybody's head with a bunch of information about you, like maybe your unemployment or your employment or you're recently divorced. So he makes the argument that we've been making pretty much all along, that privacy doesn't exist. You'll no longer be able to separate your persona, your work persona, from your weekend self, and our histories will come along with us, bundle up as a pop-up in everybody's field of view. So there you go. Happy trails, everyone.
Which is why you shouldn't be saying things that might turn up in an open mic tape 11 years from now.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if somebody wanted to do a compilation of cuts out of context with us, they'd have no problem.
You could probably do it with anybody. Yeah. That's true. So another, the country's like the world's going crazy. McDonald's this week announced that they have to limit appearances of Ronald McDonald because of this crazy thing that's going on with scary clown sightings all over the country. And so Amanda Guerra tweeted, "Just in, yes, I'm being serious. Ronald McDonald to keep a low profile because of current climate around clown sightings." That's McDonald's statement. And they said, you know, they're going to have to just keep him in a low profile because this thing they think is going to blow over. Makes you wonder, is it? I don't know. It's getting crazier. And it's global now. It's not just here.
Yeah, well, I've always thought that clowns are scary.
Horrifying creatures.
I never thought that was a smart move by McDonald's to introduce Ronald McDonald anyway. So maybe
you know, when I was a little girl, my grandfather got me into somehow the Howdy Doody Show Peanut Gallery.
Really?
And Clarabelle comes out at the beginning to like amuse the kids. And he came out and I just freaked out screaming. They picked me up. They took me out of the audience because you can't have a screaming kid in the audience. But he was horrifying up close, you know?
Or far away. They're
really?
Just, we used to have pictures of clowns in one of our hallways, and when I was a little kid, and I'm like, take it down. That's gross.
They are gross. Yep. So this next one is probably a not safe for work story, but you know, Christine Amanapour, is that how you say her name? Christine Amanapour.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's usually very composed in all circumstances, and she was interviewing the Russian, I think he's an ambassador. And he's a Russian minister, and she was interviewing him about Syria and all these important things. And she brought up the Trump tapes, and she said, you know, it's sort of like, she said, it's kind of like Donald Trump has had his own Pussy Riot moment. What do you think about that? And he says, with his Russian accent, there are so many pussies around your presidential campaign on both sides that I prefer not to comment. And she just cracked up laughing. This is something she's never done. And the two of them are laughing. You know, they went on to actually discuss serious things. But I think he summed up the election in one sentence.
Well, she just teed it up for him, too. I mean, how can you get a fat fastball coming right down the middle?
But he said, well, English isn't my first language, and maybe I shouldn't say anything. But, you know. And he knew he was funny because he started laughing. But, I mean, it really was funny. We all need a moment of levity in this next month. Yeah. I'm going to try to laugh all the time.
I am done with my bad stuff. You got any more?
I do. Well, no, actually, I don't. I have good stuff now.
All right. Well, let me give a shout out then.
That was good stuff, by the way. The Russian diplomat. I thought that was funny.
All right. Bob Dylan, my homeboy.
Isn't that great?
From Minnesota. I just got to give a shout out. Won the Nobel Prize for Literature because he's an amazing lyricist.
The best ever. Yeah. I mean, he is the poet of several generations, and he is a true American author, you know, and his delivery, everything about him. I mean, it's just wild that they gave it to him.
Yeah, I guess there's some argument about whether lyrics rise to the level of literature, and
about time they did, because they should.
As long as it stands on its own as a written word, as a work of literature, then I mean that's the test for poetry, right?
The times they are changing, you know.
Exactly. So I did a post today for our agency blog of 13 cover songs, Bob Dylan songs that people have covered, that famous people have covered, to sort of illustrate the profound influence he's had in music. So we'll keep.
Oh my God, like a Rolling Stone. Oh my God, the answer's blowing in the wind. Unbelievable. So speaking of elections. Buzzfeed is going to stream election night coverage on Twitter, and this is from a Wall Street Journal article by Stephen Perlman, and they signed a deal with Twitter to live stream an election special on Twitter, and BuzzFeed news reporters will be on hand to dissect the incoming results and parse the big developments. And Ben Smith, who's the editor-in-chief at BuzzFeed, said, as the vortex tightens around the election, Twitter is the heart of this giant American conversation, which is something we say a lot. And Twitter said its live stream of the second presidential debate averaged 369,000 viewers, which was more than the first. But the Wall Street Journal said that BuzzFeed was slated to receive about $3 million for producing Facebook Live videos between March 16th and March 2017, making it the highest paid publisher there. And they just decided American politics live uniquely on Twitter. It's just a statement of fact, Smith said. And he said that, you know, BuzzFeed loves Facebook Live, put on other events there, but that this one is going to be on Twitter, and it's going to have advertising packages with TV-style mid-roll and spots combined with original clips that BuzzFeed produces and that advertisers can sponsor. And it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be pretty terrific. And, you know, the tweets from the second presidential debate were seen more than 3.6 billion times worldwide on and off Twitter. And that was the most tweeted day of the entire 2016 election, more than 30 million tweets sent as the audience tuned into Twitter for news. And so the interesting part is 70% of the second debate's logged in live viewers were under the age of 35, and more than half of all the tweets about the election were from people 25 and younger. So there is hope that they are going to vote. And during the election, BuzzFeed disproved Trump's claim that he always opposed the Iraq War, and they did an investigative report into the guest worker program. So they're taking the journalistic side of this seriously, and I think it's a big opportunity all around.
Yeah, BuzzFeed does do some serious journalism. You kind of, when they started doing it, was like, huh, what, from BuzzFeed?
I know,
but they do, and it's a natural. Twitter is a natural for them. They do more than most media outlets. They create a lot of content off their own properties.
Astounding stream of content, you know. Yeah. I just wonder how they do it. But, you know, I don't know if you saw the New York Magazine article by Andrew Sullivan talking about how he has to just take a break from the internet because he was trying to post every half hour, and it makes you crazy. So, you know, it's really hard to do what they're doing and to keep it up, and you know, they're gaining. So I think that's pretty terrific.
Yeah. Interesting development here from a CNET article by Ry Christ. Amazon is freeing Alexa. They're collaborating with Sensory, which is a Silicon Valley company that specializes in voice recognition technology. And the goal of the collaborations is to help developers create new Alexa-enabled gadgets that you can activate with a wake word, just like you do with Echo. Amazon is opening the door for developers to get access to Alexa software. Third-party developers can use the Alexa voice controls to on their devices for free, and Amazon will help them integrate it. Problem with a lot of the technology necessary to wake up Alexa by name is that their devices don't have it built in, so they're needing their users to press a button to activate the voice recognition stuff. So this is where the Sensory collaboration comes in. Their speech recognition suite will enable the wake up functionality, and it'll allow enable that functionality on a variety of devices, including battery-powered ones. The models are available through Alexa voice services for Raspberry Pi on GitHub, so it's available on the GitHub for developers. And the idea, I think it's really a smart move by Amazon, because the more widespread Alexa becomes on many more devices, not just their own, the more data, the more voice data Amazon will have to have access to improve the voice recognition technology, and that is the input device of the future, if not the present.
Well, that's really interesting. You have Alexa. You've had it for a while because you're a first responder to new technology.
First responder, first adopter. Yes, I do, and I love it.
Yeah, and you know, the latest update of the Mac is of Apple, which I forgot what it's called, but anyway, it brings Siri to the desktop, and you know, Siri has a long way to go. That's all I can say about Siri, but she's helpful. She's gotten better, but you know, it sounds like Amazon is way ahead of Apple in this area, which is pretty interesting.
And I think the two leading ones are Amazon and Google. Google has better voice recognition technology, as far as I'm concerned, than Siri and Cortana. I've got Cortana on my Windows machine, and I've used it a couple of times, but it doesn't really work all that great. So
what's Cortana?
Cortana's Microsoft's voice recognition technology.
Okay.
Yep.
I would like to try Alexa, except you have to have a PC, right?
Well, a couple of episodes back, we had a test thing that you could try it out on the web, but you need to have an Echo right now, which is why they want to free it up and let everybody else have access to it.
Okay.
More Amazon news. I got
you have a lot of
slate of Amazon
news
news this week.
Yeah.
Amazon has launched a full-fledged music streaming service to compete with Spotify and Apple Music and Google Play Music. This is from a Verge article by Dan Seifert. It's called Amazon Music Unlimited. It's available for Prime members for $7.99 a month or $79 a year, and that's cheaper than premium options for Spotify or Apple Music. Echo owners, myself included, will get the service for just $3.99 a month, but the Echo plan is limited to only one device, so presumably your Echo. So you can't use it on your PC or your tablet or your phone. It's got tight integration with the Echo devices, obviously. Alexa Voice Assistant is the real differentiator among other rival streaming music services because you can talk to it and request songs rather than having to choose from a playlist or search for them. Amazon has deals for all three major labels. They've got hundreds of indie labels, quote unquote hundreds, whatever that means. It includes the recommendation engine to surface new music, both algorithmically and by handmade playlists. There are apps for Android, iOS, and Sonos and desktop, and it would be included in Amazon's Fire tablets and set-top boxes. It also includes a feature called Side by Side, which pairs artist commentary with selected tracks. So kind of the insight behind the song kind of thing, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. I like that.
Yeah. And then lastly, I'll just finish up mine because it's all Amazon related here.
Okay.
Amazon Prime members now get magazines and books for free. This is from a Neiman Lab article by Joseph Lichterman. So Prime members now get access to more than 1,000 books, comics, magazines, and more on their Kindle devices and apps for no additional cost.
If you have a Kindle, though, you have to have a Kindle.
It's called Prime Reading. I don't know if you need a Kindle or I think you can use an app as long as you're a Prime member.
I am a Prime member, but I tried it and it said to download to Kindle. So I'll try it on my phone, but I don't want to read it on my phone. So what good is that?
Yeah. It includes 42 magazine issues that I counted, among them People, Sports Illustrated, Vogue, Bloomberg Business News, Consumer Reports. I actually will start reading People to see what has hit the mainstream. Users can download up to 10 titles at once on your smartphone and tablets. Users can download magazines into the Kindle app, which they're then presented as zoomed out PDFs. So it's kind of awkward. The magazine format I've always find kind of awkward to use simply because there's a lot of pinching and zooming. Obviously, it's got a limited selection, as I just covered, and it still presents a competition for Texture, which is a service that I was planning on subscribing to, but I probably won't do that now that I'm getting these for free. So
I don't know Texture. What does Texture do for you?
Texture's like the Netflix for magazines.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Yep.
That really is. So, Facebook, are you done with?
I'm done. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, Facebook announced today in their newsroom that you can now watch live videos on your TV via Apple TV and Chromecast. So they're, in their continuing quest for world domination and their battle with Amazon, they started to allow live video to stream onto your TV, and it makes sense since they want their video on as many screens as possible. And, what I see when I look at Facebook video, live video, is bad lighting and bad sound. And so I think the producers of the live video need to start to think about their production values, because that's important. And if you're going to start seeing it on TV, it's going to be even more obvious because you have, just people have bigger screens than we're seeing. So I think this whole thing is obviously evolving, but Facebook's really, really pushing for live video.
It was interesting. Last night I went to a concert, and It was one of two big concerts here in the Twin Cities that were playing last night. The other one was a Prince tribute concert that I would have went to. All my friends were at, but we had tickets for this other concert, so I didn't go.
Sia, right? You
Yeah,
went to see
correct.
Sia.
Yep. And all my friends were live streaming on Facebook the Prince concert. And that's the way that that's the way that the Facebook Live has been taken off so far, is just individuals doing it for wherever they're at. But it was all hyper compressed, very lossy, not high definition at all video. So, it had a lot to do with the Wi-Fi connection within the stadium. A bunch of people on their connections, but still, they need to figure out a way to improve that.
I'm sure they're going to. So the other thing that I think was big fun that happened this week is that Ken Bone and his red sweater became not only a hero, but they're a meme. And if you somehow missed him, he's the guy in the red sweater who asked the last question about energy policies at the second presidential debate. And he was just so adorable and, so serious. So his Twitter following went from, I think he had 93 followers. He's got, when I looked this afternoon, he had 240,000 followers. and his sweater, which was from Izod, it sold out immediately. And, I wrote a blog post about this. I mean, yeah, we need comic relief in the midst of this horrible election, but I have to wonder, is this fiddling while Rome burns? And for those of you who don't know the origin of that phrase, that means, being diverted by something silly while the world is coming to an end. But his story is so adorable. He told CNN that he changed into the sweater because he was wearing a suit because he was all excited he was going to be on the debate. And he had apparently gained 30 pounds since the last time he wore the suit. So when he got in his car, the pants ripped and he had a quick run in the house. His wife got him the sweater and whatever pants he had on, and he ran back out, and, everybody fell in love with him. And so now he's urging people to get out and vote, and he's making interview rounds, and Ken Bone Facts trended on Twitter and appeared in Twitter Moments. There's a parody account at the Ken Bone, which already has like 12,000 followers, and he's tweeting stuff, the parody, like retweet and follow on Friday, and I'll pick a winner who will get the Ken Bone sweater. Must be following to win, because he's trying to build up his following. And so the thing here is, though, Ken Bone was at that debate because he said, like everyone else there, which I don't believe any of them, that he was undecided. Well, I don't think he's going to be so adorable if he decides to vote for Trump, but that remains to be seen. So somebody named Brooklyn tweeted, "Am I the only one who sees the resemblance between Al from Toy Story and Ken Bone?" And they do look alike. And then Snoop Dogg tweeted that he wants to smoke weed with Ken Bone. And the two had a conversation during Ken Bone did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit yesterday. And he earned his new coolness stripes big time because he said he and his dad were going to be in LA next week and they'd love to meet with Snoop Dogg, who was also in the Ask Me Anything, and accept his invitation to go to his crib and enjoy some whatever he called it. And Stephen Colbert and Jonathan Mann both wrote songs to Ken Bone that were absolutely hilarious. So Ken Bone's enjoying his 15 minutes, and, you can't help but love the guy.
Ken Bone is cashing in like a good American.
Like the mom. What was the mask she had on? I forgot already. Her 15.
Yeah, Chewbacca mom.
Chewbacca mom. What happened to her these days? You don't hear from her, but she had a grand old time. And her family got like all this money and scholarships and products, and so he's going to enjoy the same thing. But just one more thing about the election. In the tapes, Trump said, I got to have some Tic Tacs because I might start kissing women indiscriminately. And Tic Tac said, Tic Tac respects all women. We find the recent statements and behavior completely inappropriate and unacceptable. And if you'll recall, when they talked about Skittles being like immigrants that we don't want to have, Skittles also renounced him. And so Charles Johnson tweeted, and I can't help but agree, you're in big trouble when Tic Tac denounces you. But it doesn't seem to matter.
It's kind of a dangerous time to be a brand these days. You don't know when you're going to be associated with a damaged good. So
Right, or when Trump is going to mention you, God forbid, you know. That's really good. So that's all the news I have. Do you have more?
I don't. We're all out of good news, and we're all out of bad news. So let's get into some cool stuff.
Okay.
Since you were just talking about the election, I might as well talk about my my browser extension that
I love it.
I found. This is from a Next Web article by Brian Clark, who points to the Firewall Trump browser extension. It's a browser extension for Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And what it does, it will replace every mention of Donald Trump with the poop emoji. So there you go.
You know, I went to get it, and it wanted my email. I was like, that's not happening. So I didn't get it, but it is
Give it a fake email.
Yeah, well, that's a hilarious idea.
I shouldn't encourage that.
You have another one. I don't have any apps.
All right, yeah. So this is from a life hacker article. Google, somebody discovered a little trick on Google. It converts color codes. So if you're a developer, web developer, or a graphic artist, this will come in handy. If you search RGB to hex, RGB to HEX on Google, you'll get a little tool, which is a color picker slider tool that gives you the color codes or values for hexdex, that's HTML color codes, RGB, HSV, HSL, and CMYA. So very
What
quick
do you
way
need
to.
those?
So if you're doing graphic design and you want to know you need to type in the exact color. There are color codes for specific shades of color that you can use this tool to discover. And for like web development, rather than showing white, for example, the color code is hashtag FFFFFF.
Oh,
For
I've
black,
seen that. Yeah, in the
for
theme.
black,
Yeah.
the code is hashtag 000000. But who remembers? I mean, I remember that because I do web development, but nobody, I mean, I don't remember all of them. So I need a tool to figure it out.
Oh, that's a really good tool.
Yep.
I like that. So I think that brings us to projects.
Yes.
Excuse me. And I have one. I did an interview with Josh Bernoff, who is the author of Writing Without Bullshit. And it's a video interview. We'll put it on the blog. And you know, I asked him, why is there so much bullshit in business writing? And he said, to sum it up, basically, it's fear. People are afraid of saying what they really think. They're afraid of being judged in some way. And then there is the fact that we were taught to write in a way that is completely inappropriate for our short attention spans, but also the way we read today and the way that we communicate today. So his book is quite extraordinary, and he helps people to write without bullshit. And I think you'll enjoy the interview. It's just a few minutes long, but you know, we kind of had fun doing it, and there's a lot to learn from him.
Very cool. Very cool.
He said if he said you can just use burnoff.com if you're at work and you don't want to put in, you know, no bullshit in your browser. So it relocates.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I tell my colleagues at work that they should read Hemingway.
Yes, of
to
course.
learn short declarative sentences. It drives them crazy, but I'm like,
and use the Hemingway app, because that will examine your sentences. I use it all the time, because just when I think I'm clear, they tell me I'm not, you know, and it's about short. And he was talking about how you have to keep taking things out of, if you have to keep removing words and phrases and not use like these empty, stupid words. You know, he said anytime somebody uses the word deeply, they're going to bullshit you. So, you know, it's just not a word you should use, you know.
It's funny that he uses that term, because the major lesson I learned from a writing workshop in college was the essential tool for a good writer is having an absolute foolproof bullshit detector for editing your own writing, right? So, yeah, very much.
Well, that also goes along with something that we've talked about here before, that, you know, there's so much bullshit out there. And Howard Rheingold, who is, you know, I revere him, and he has a course in in bullshit detection and making a bullshit filter. And it's hard to apply it to yourself, but we all need that, including us, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. Let's wrap this up. Skills. We've been talking a lot about Alexa. Skills Echo owners have used. This is from Experian. This data is from Experian. So most used skill, and a skill is an application, basically an Echo. That's what they call them. So the most used one is people are setting timers. 85% of Echo owners have set a timer using their Echo. 82% have played a song, naturally. 66% have read the news from there. So I come home and I ask my Echo, what's the latest news? And Alexa tells me. 64% have set an alarm. I've done that. 62% have checked the time. Never done that. 46% control their smart lights, which I don't have any, so I don't do that. 45% have added item to a shopping list. Done. Connect to a paid music service. 41% have done that. I've done that. Buy something on Amazon Prime. 32% have done that. I haven't. Control my smart thermostat, which I don't have. 30% have done that. But the more that you can create your own skills or capabilities for Echo, so these things are likely to increase as the library of functionality increases as well for Echo. So we'll see.
That's interesting. Just the other day, I told Siri, like, the alarm went off and now it's dark in the morning at 6 in the morning. And I said, Siri, wake me in 15 minutes. And she didn't. And I didn't get up until 2 hours later, because that's when I would naturally get up if I didn't have to get up at 6 o'clock. And, Siri, you blew it. You really blew it.
It's voice recognition.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not really. She said she did it. I trusted her. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 161 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And if you would like to find David Erickson online, he's at D Erickson on Twitter. He blogs at eStrategyBlog.com and CreativePR.com/blog, both of which are weekly must-reads for me. And I think once you start, they'll be them for you. I am BL Ackman. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I am blogging at whatsnextblog.com. I run Maximum-Plus for live stream video. And you will find the show BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, where we post every episode's playlist with links to everything that we discussed, and also the video, which we timestamp so that you can click on a time and go directly to that segment of the video. And we hope that you will subscribe to our YouTube channel and come find us on Facebook. And, we just look forward to seeing you all over the place. And also back here next week at our regular time, which is Thursdays at 7. Is it 7?
Yeah.
At 7 p.m. See you Thursday at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching.